WEFM. WhatsApp us or call us at 457-9997. Activated Mornings on WEFM 99.9 is on now.
We are back with more Activated Mornings on the Clean Fresh Sound WEFM with Roleza and Dianna. And at this time, Kingsley DeFreitas, as he is already on the line to give us his commentary. Good morning to you, Kingsley.
Yeah, good morning. I'm in a good mood this morning. Yesterday I couldn't make it, but I explained to you guys why I can't make it, especially on a Wednesdays, okay? I'll put some food on the table. But here what happened, that commentary I did on Tuesday where I spoke about the exploits of poor people who are making an input and development in Finland. I am not saying that I don't enjoy your response to my commentary. But on Tuesday, I thought that Miss Pamela was extremely good with her response. And that is why I'm coming to deal with the issue this morning, because I thought that you dealt with it well nicely. And because, let's face that, poor people might be in the minority in certain things, but poor people are in the majority of making Finland so what it is, because all of us have to work to make sure our country sustains itself. And I really enjoy the way that you guys dealt with the issue on Tuesday, especially Ms. Samuel. I think that you did a good job sharing your opinion and your observation on poor people exploit and the development of Finland for the Ghanaians. And we have to remind them, regardless them to what they are doing and they're listening to it, and we really appreciate them in the effort, because I got some good response from persons who don't call radio, but they don't mind number to the call and tell me that they enjoy the commentary and the commentary made some sense. But I didn't have to tell them no, them tell me it made sense. I know what I was saying that was making sense. Because it is clear, everywhere you go in this thing, there is a need for people to be employed. And there are underemployment and unemployment. And we can't wait on the authorities to provide all our employment needs. So when Ms. Samuel spoke about the people who tell what little thing they do on the street to make ends meet, I found that quite interesting, because people have to eke out a living. And you'll be surprised, you know, some of them might be eke out a living on the street, but they have some intention. Because I can remember a lady, she fell out of a tree. So that she has a van park up close to the vegetable market. So she is improving herself gradually. And that is what is important. And the issue of pigeons, if I miss him, of course I miss him. I don't know what happened to him, but I'm paying attention to whenever he come back and what he goes for. I think he must be put aside a revolution in making the commentary more interesting than I did.
So it's a revolution.
I have a wonderful day, and I speak to you tomorrow. Tomorrow will be Friday, right?
Yes, yeah. Kingsley. Mm-hmm.
Yes, I'll enjoy the day.
How are you as well, Kingsley? Have a good one.
Okay.
All right.
All right, so you heard from Mr. DeFreitas there, just speaking about the commentary that he made on Tuesday, you know, speaking about the lower class of the population, you know, those persons who we call the hustlers, those who keep the society running. Sometimes we don't necessarily focus on some of these people, but when you really think about it, they're the ones who usually are working behind the scenes, you know, making a lot of things that we may consider to be trivial, but you know, they're making them work out for the rest of the population.
All right. So just something that Kingsley said that struck me, and it's a question I've always been asking. I've always been asking this question: how do we actually define being poor? Right? And the reason why I'm asking this question is that we might see somebody living in a 2x4 home, right? But they are getting all of their bills paid. They're not paying a mortgage. They're able to actually send their children to school without any sort of hassle or without any sort of fuss, right? So we might look at somebody living in a situation where, yes, they're living on a very small property, might be a wooden structure, and we might define them as being poor. Whereas you have somebody who lives in a relatively big house, or what we would say big house here in SVG, right? They are going to work. Let's say they are working at a desk job, but they're budgeting down to their very last dollar. They are stressed because number one, they don't like their work, or number two, they're not paid sufficiently. And every end of month, they're meeting stress within their life. And when it is that, I think about those persons who are quote unquote well, what we perceive as being well off in society, as opposed to somebody who's living in a smaller structure, but they're seemingly happy. I have to ask, how do we actually define poor most times, right? Let me draw on an example. There was one time when I was building, the day I had to go and meet the contractor to get some bad news because money did run out, right? I didn't know it was bad news I was going to meet. And I would never forget, while driving to, well, what is now my home, at the time the property, driving to the property, I saw a gentleman on the wall here by Kittles, right? He was lying down on the wall, a bread in his hand and a cup of tea in the other hand. And I am there looking at my situation, and I'm there saying, this man seems content, right? He's able to wake up. He has something to eat. He's just there relaxing. Meanwhile, I am going towards a property that at that point in time I was highly stressed about. And I would never forget it because it caused me to have to question, really and truly, who do we define as being the happy folks here in life generally? I can't just say in SVG, but in life generally, right? So maybe that is something, a little bit of food for thought for many of us. How do we define poor, or how do we define what it means to be happy or to be content? So just something, there's a spill off from what Kingsley said.
All righty then. Well, I don't have anything more to add to that. And an interesting question there by Roleza. Maybe we can have a session where we bring that as our topic of discussion. All right. So if there aren't any comments as it relates to Kingsley's, there is.
So I think somebody's commenting on what I said. So somebody said, people who don't pay their bills. So I guess those are the happy persons, all right? Yeah. And that's the thing, how many of us right now being end of month, right? Yes, we have been paid, but how many of us are actually happy that we have worked so long and so hard for the entire month to not receive a salary? Are we actually happy? And it's sometimes the things that we have to look at within ourselves, the way in which we live our lives, and also the things that we have aspirations towards. Like Dianna's definition of what might make her happy might not make me happy. And so it might not make somebody else happy. But, if you're just going through this cycle of life of you're just paying bills, you're not even getting to enjoy life, are you actually living? So, yeah.
I think we need to get Roleza a podcast or a platform to be a motivational speaker, right?
I mean,
don't you agree with me?
I think this is why I say sometimes I don't have a problem with talking about things that I've gone through because, it's sometimes people are so sheltered or they don't want to say things because you don't know how people are going to view you or people are going to judge you and so forth. And listen, I think God puts us through certain situations so we could turn around and give proper advice to people, especially those younger persons coming up to give proper advice. So it's just my life experience. I mean, not saying that, this is the way it should be or my thinking is the correct one that's going to be applicable to everybody. But yeah, I don't have a problem talking. All
righty then. All All right, so quickly, do we have just a couple of minutes before it is 8 o'clock? And just before we head out of this talk segment, I just want to quickly highlight some things in sports. So can't remember the last time we spoke about our athletes. So just to tell you about some of the great things that our athletes have been doing in sports. First of all, Vincy Heat beat St. Kitts and Nevis the other day 3-1. Yeah, in football. I mean, obviously, we know Vincy Heat is football. So they beat St. Kitts and Nevis the other day 3-1. But that's only one match thus far. They have some other matches to go as well. 14-year-old Kai Descent, who is a sailor, he completed an impressive solo sail from St. Vincent to Union Island. So from St. Vincent to Union Island all by himself. And he covered 38.1 nautical miles in 6 hours and 3 minutes with an average speed of 6.3 knots. Now that is impressive, but what is also impressive about this sailing milestone is that he set out to raise funds for the Union Island secondary school students that were affected by Hurricane Beryl, helping them to pay for their CSEC exams. And I think that Kai just deserves a round of applause. Hats off to you, Kai. Kai, commendations to you. Big up your whole self, as we say. Right? A young child there who is, doing something that I consider to be a humanitarian act. Also, the Blue Marlins Swim Club broke some records in some recent performances. So they recorded a series of standout performances at the 33rd annual Sonia O'Neill Memorial International Invitational in Barbados, and that was held from the 22nd to the 25th of this month. They were represented by Raya Adams, Zane Gabriel, Zoe May, Skylar Byron, Belle Adams, Taya, I hope I called that correctly, or Taya Saint-Hilaire, and Hazen Gabriel. All right, so they broke some of our national records. So 3 SVG national LCM records were broken by Hazen, the 200-meter freestyle, the 400-meter freestyle as well. Both freestyle records were previously held by Cruz Halbich. Hazen also broke Bryson George's 5-year-old 400-meter individual medley record, which previously, we're not going to get into the time at the moment. They also got a total of 12 medals. Zane captured bronze in the boys under 8 and under 50-meter breaststroke. And May got a bronze in the girls 9 to 10 50-meter breaststroke, and Belle got 3 silver. 50-meter butterfly, 100-meter freestyle, and 50-meter freestyle. If you want to read a little bit more about the records that they broke, you can just check One News for that as well. Our girl Shafika, she's been running, she's been training, she's been doing some things. Let me just pull up something here really quickly for you. All right, so you can also follow her on social media. She usually gives us some updates on social media. So she recently competed in the Rabat Diamond League and she placed 5th. She also has some other track meets, so you can just follow her there to be up to date with her track meets. And I think that is all the update we have for you. Just to let you know that sports has been taking place. Our athletes are out there. They're doing their things. I mean, we're doing all sorts of things all around. And again, as I'm talking about this, I remember the Ministry of National Mobilization from yesterday, and I'm still so happy about their cool campaign release. I want to go race in a wheelchair. I don't know. I really am excited. I'm not disabled, but I am so excited for that. And I hope that those persons are as well. So
it would be interesting to see what video highlights we get to see from the event. I hope they do it. Some video highlights and put it like in a nice video package so that those of us who may not be able to go to the actual event, that's happening this Saturday at Georgetown. The first one is happening at Georgetown this Saturday. The rest of us could see. You know, it's not that you're trying to make fun of people in these situations, but I do know that there are many of us who are able-bodied when put into the position of persons who may have some sort of physical challenges or other challenges that we would not be able to, because it does take a while for you to adapt, right, to whatever changes have happened in your life, or maybe you've been born this way, so you are already, well adept with how to maneuver certain things and all of that. But for us to try to fit into their world, it actually is an eye-opener for many of us, because let's pretend that you're blindfolded. Persons who are blindfolded, the persons who are visually impaired, they use their other senses so that be able to pick up on different things. But for us who try to step into that role, it's an adjustment.
We're not gonna make it.
So it would be interesting to see what happens there.
Just to share something here. When I was a child, I used to live with 2 great aunts, and one of them, she's blind. Now she's gotten accustomed, her senses are heightened, so she would walk around that entire house, Roleza, and not touch a thing. She knows the woman is incredible. She knows when she gets to the corner to turn. She did not hold on to the wall. And so my other aunt, because when I walked, apparently I used to touch the walls, and so she would be like, Iris blind and Iris now have a hold on, and you could see.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's actually interesting.
Yes. So that is it for us here. We are going to head out of this talk segment. It is 8:01, and this time check came to you by the New Haven Funeral Home.
Death is a fact of life.